Crimson Primary. And we also have Cadmium Yellow, Light Hue. This one's the Ultramarine Blue. I'm also using Titanium White. And because in my classroom, I don't typically use black, but I'm going to start using it again next year. So I'm using the Deco Art Black, which is called Lamp Black. Okay, so those are the colors I'm using for today. Well, I'm actually going to use one set of the primary colors. I just want to go over some things. There are some you'll see here. So like I hold up this primary compared to the cadmium, you'll see that the cadmium has like a blue tint to it. So that's on the cooler side, where this one is just pure yellow. So that's on the warmer side of the color wheel. And we're going to go over all that shortly. And it's the same for these two. So the Acrylic Crimson and the Ultramarine are on the cooler side because this has more of a purple tint, and this has also like a purple tint. So I'm going to put those ones onto the side. But if you can get your hands on either one, it's perfectly fine. So I'm going to be using the Cadmium Red, the Flail Blue, and the Primary Yellow, the White, and the Black. So I'm just going to switch my camera. So hello. Okay, so what I'm showing you guys here is a color wheel. So I have this up for grabs to purchase if you want to go along with me. So this is a basic color wheel. I'm just like showing it on the side view. I'm sorry. So on the color wheel, and let me get a pen so we can write. So if you want to join in with me, you guys are more than welcome to purchase this. It's actually going to be like a worksheet. So when it comes to the color wheel, you have primary and secondary colors. So the primary colors are red, yellow, and blue. Okay, and then on the color wheel, you'll find them here. Here's our blue. Here is our red. And here is our yellow. Okay, so they normally always find themselves in a triangle. So when you mix two primary colors equally, so the primary colors cannot be created from any other color, meaning you cannot mix colors to get a primary, but you can mix primary colors to get a secondary color. So when you mix like red and green together, red and blue together, you get purple or violet. And then it's here as well. I'm sorry, this one is actually the blue on the color wheel. Then when you mix like red and yellow together, you get orange. Sorry, the way that's printed, it printed out weird. Orange is here, and then when you mix blue and yellow together, you get green. All right, so these are our primaries, primary. These are our second, and second. So then you have these colors that are in between. These are called tertiary colors. So tertiary colors are the colors that when you mix 75% of the primary and 25% of the secondary, you would get a tertiary. And normally you always put the primary name first. So this would be yellow, green, for example. Okay, again, if I was to mix green and blue together here, this would be blue, green. and you just go all around. So I made this worksheet for everybody. So if you are somebody that works well with doing worksheets, you can print this out and use the worksheet to make the colors, and we're going to also learn how to do a value scale. All right, so what I'm actually using is, I actually have to go get a cup of water. So this is a palette. This is just where I can put paint on it, and I have a palette. All right, and this is another more professional kind of color wheel that you can use for matching, and it also tells you the primary and the secondary and the tertiary colors on the bottom, and it also gives you definitions of everything what we're going to be going over in this particular lesson. I just gotta go grab a cup of water real fast. Some paper towels. Alright, so I'm going to be using my mixed media. So mixed media is, and this is like, you can see how I teach my kids, going over some stuff where I teach my kids. So I use this from when I was doing teaching online. So during the pandemic, we would teach them how to create art. We didn't have that many tools. Basically, just move to the next blank page. Okay. So again, I'm using Phthalo Blue, Cadmium Red, and Primary Yellow. Okay, so you will see these are the basic colors. All right, and just so that you can see what they look like on paper, this is what blue looks like. Okay. And then just grab my water. This is what the red would look like on paper. And this is what yellow will look like on paper. Alright, so those are your primary colors. Now to get the secondary color, so it's typically equals amount. So you would just take some, I'm going to take some blue here, take some red, and just mix these together. Typically making a purple or a violet is typically one of the hardest to get if you don't have the right colors or the right amount of each color. Alright, so that, and then you would test it on here. So when I test it, I can see that there's a little bit too much blue. So if you feel like there's a little bit too much blue, just go back in and add some red into it, and then you can come back on here and you will kind of find your purple. That one is a little too dark, but this is more of the purple that we're trying to get. Okay, I'm just going to rinse off my brush, and again I'm going to go with a little bit of blue, a little bit of yellow to get a green. And that's our secondary green. And I'm going to take a little bit of red and a little bit of yellow, and to mix that to get orange, I'm going to add a little bit more yellow into mine. And that would be orange. Okay. So we have our primary and our secondary colors here. So it's great just to play and practice with your colors. That's why I said there's like different types of blues and different types of reds, different types of yellows. So you just want to make sure when you're adding colors together or mixing colors together, you mix them pretty well before you apply them to your paper. So there's another thing that's called value. So we have something called a value scale. And normally you start with the hue. And the hue can be the main color. So you can do a primary or a secondary. And then you would be mixing white and black. So value, basically the terminology and the definition of value is the lightness and the darkness of a hue. All right, so I'm going to do the hue red. So I'm going to start off with red. All right, I'm just going to take red and I'm just going to add it to we're going to call this a canvas, my paper. Okay, now if I want to make this darker, okay, I'm going to take a little bit of red, I'm going to bring it down here. To make my shade darker, I'm just going to take a little bit of black. You don't want too much, so I'm basically adding just a tap of black just to go one shade or one step darker. And you can see that here, okay? And if I want to do that again, I'm not even wiping off my brush for this part. I'm going to add some little bit more black and add that in. All right, and then you will see as you keep adding more black, it gets more darker. You'll see, well, what we typically know this as is like a maroon color. All right, then I'm going to wash off my brush. You want to make sure before you use white, so white is going to create the tint or make the hue lighter. You want to make sure you wash off all the black out of this because you don't want it to turn gray, or you don't want it to mix too much to create like a weird color. So again, I'm going to start with red. I'm going to take a little bit of white. Might take a little bit more. So white gets like kind of sucked into the color, and the color kind of eats up really fast. And this is going to go more on the pinkish. This is how we mostly would make a pink color. Add a little bit more. And you can see how that works. I'm going to add a little bit more white to that. And again, it just eats up the white. So sometimes you have to add extra white and go even lighter than that. All right. And you can keep adding white and it'll go even lighter. All right. So another thing about colors is not typically with the tint, but going back to the shaded side. On the color wheel, we have colors that are secondary colors opposite of the primary colors. So like this, these are called complementary colors. They're complementary colors, okay? You normally do these when we can make different shades. So yes, we're making a shade or a tone this way, and the same thing goes this way. So again, so we have yellow. We're starting with red. I'm going to start off with my little bit of red here. All right. And then I'm going to take a little bit of red on my palette and go back to my palette here. So here I started making my shade. So I might want to take up some of the green since that's opposite of it, and then add that in. And you can see how it's making a shade. So this kind of like made this shade right here. And you can see how whether you're using black or you're using the complementary color of green, you get the same tones. So what I teach my students is to use the complementary color. So if I want to go now a little bit lighter because I might have made that too dark, I might add a little bit red into that and then add that on to my palette and then go back into the green to add a little bit more green in to get that middle tone here. So whether you're using black, so I use black for this one, and I got darker shades, and then I used the complementary color here, and I also got darker shades. So that is pretty good. All right, so it's up to you. So if you don't have black, You could always use the complementary color to make your shades, but you do need white to make the tints on your page. And that's just the basic of acrylic painting. And again, if you want to make gray, take a little bit of black, you take a little bit of white, and you start having your gray tones, right? And these are to make gray tones, and you will see how that creates the gray. All right, so I hope this mini tutorial helped you, especially when you go to create a painting or something. We also not only have complementary colors. As you take a look at the color wheel, you have warm colors. So the warm colors are these colors here that are more on the warmer side. Think of the sun, think of hot, think of fire. Those are warm colors. And then cool colors, we think of the sky, we think of water. Those ice, we think of cool colors. But we also have colors that are called analogous colors, and those are colors that are grouped by like 3 or 4 colors together. And analogous colors are more colors that are, for example, go together well together. Meaning, if I was to make a painting and I was using the color blue, I want to add another color to maybe go well with my painting. I might use blue green or blue violet or even violet. I might use like all these colors together on my painting, and it will go well together, and they complement each other very well, and they speak well to each other. So they're like the neighboring colors, and those are analogous colors. So again, that's just a little bit of help. So I like using the color wheel, and I like to use these color wheels too, because I make my kids actually match to these color wheels. I did not do that here with the green, but again, it's all what you think is a good green to you. Again, if you want to purchase, you guys will have access to purchase, and you can use these sheets here to do your practicing on how we did here. So again, I hope this video helped you. Let me just switch. So I hope this actually helped you. And I hope you will come back to my channel again. So if you liked what you saw here, just hit subscribe, comment, and like this video, and maybe comment in what you want to see next or me to demonstrate next. All right, guys, I'm gonna have more of a color theory. Next might be color pencils. So I have color pencils. I'm going to teach you guys how to use color pencils and how to blend color pencils. We also will be using watercolors and graphite pencils. So I have a series of blending and using new materials. I just wanted to show you color theory using acrylic paint. So I hope that helped you guys. Okay? Have a great day, and I'll see you in the next video.